in the US. We are coming from Africa, going to Mexico, and now to the US, bringing harvesting experiences from the global network. Amazing. Welcome, Ryan.
Yes, thank you. It's good to be here. Let me try pulling this up. Okay. One thing I don't know is how to see my notes whenever I'm in full screen. So we'll see how this goes. Okay.
Yeah, you'll probably won't be able to see your notes.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll be able to flow with it. Yeah, so I'm Ryan and I am in the United States, and I work with White Pine Wilderness Academy. So we're like, well, I'll go to the next page. We are not like a residential eco-village, and we work within like a regenerative community design. And so we work with our families, we work with one another, and we work with our students through that principle and through that practice. We're almost a decade old. We started in 2014, following the unfortunate passing of what would have been the co-founder of Isapana Urban and Wilderness Survival School, which is our White Pines founder's first school. And so with that, he moved on from Isapana to White Pine, and it started just in a backyard and with bow building, archery and bow building. And that was the first Skillshare and the first few students that came. And over the last 9 years, we've grown quite a bit, and now work with people throughout Indianapolis, but I'll get to that later. We serve ages 4 and up. We just don't have like explicit, I guess, or like detailed programs for the youngest of ages. But we often have younger siblings who come around the campus and will hang out and, you know, get close to the fire and experience what we have to offer. Overall, we serve about 650 students between those age groups throughout the year. Our school year, so like August through May, we have families that come every single week or multiple times a week to our programming. I don't know where that, oops. And then during the summer, we have families that just come for a full week, and then they'll come to events or they'll stay plugged in through another way throughout the year. This little graphic at the bottom, this is the detail of our regenerative community design. So on the side where you have future generations up to adult, that's like all the people who are in programs, who learn the skills that we teach and are connecting with instructors and staff. On the left side, from ancestors to village keepers, that's 99% of those people are going to be adults, and they are not necessarily in learning the skills and coming to the programs, but they care about the mission that we do, and so they're involved with the organization. And then in the middle we have heroes, because, and that's the title, that's kind of what we've named the people who go on the hero's quest. You know, they learn a skill, they go on their own rites of passage, they return to this community or a community and share the lessons and the triumphs and the challenges that they have. And so then in that way, that meaning can continue to propagate. Our mission is to address the effects of nature deficit disorder through reconnection to place, community, ancestry, traditional cultures, and skills. So we're in Indianapolis, Indiana. So that's a city in biome that's the Eastern Woodlands. So much of what oh, here, this little graphic here on the right-hand side. So that's Indiana. And we teach the biology of this area. We connect with the plants through the skills that we teach. And the skills are attached to this primitive technology river on this image. And that's skills that are earth-based pathways that traditional cultures would have used, and many people around the world still do, including many of us here, it sounds like. And that ranges from, herbalism and medicine making to hunting, archery, to flint knapping and fire building, to storytelling, basket making, natural movement, endurance running, and knots, and tracking and understanding trout or trail animals, and so much more. So I'll just touch on this graphic here on the right. That's our lineages. So the primitive technology movement, which I just kind of touched on, that's played a huge part in how we have formed the 8 Shields movement, which is original, well, kind of global, but in the way we have understood it here at White Pine, has come from Tom Brown, and he's in the Pine Barrens, so it's on the East Coast of the United States. And the Shikari lineage, that's our founder's grandfather. He lived and spent most of his life in India as a Shikari, which is a tracker, and they get contracts from the government to go hunt big cats who are sick or diseased and then predating on people. So we kind of have like a unique blend of those three right in the middle. For the sake of time, I'll just briefly touch on this baseline shield here, this circle. That is kind of how we approach our lessons and our programs. Being earth-based, we like to label things in directions. It brings us back to the earth. And then we kind of work what the qualities are from there. So this is the areas of regeneration. So we start with ecology first and foremost, and then from our ecological focus, we move into culture and social. And then on the left here, I just kind of listed out a few things that really help us to instill this into one another and into our students. Our Shikari wilderness system, named for our founder's grandfather, and that role that those people play. So that's a system made up of 45 different guilds or skills that students can choose to progress in. We used to have it just kind of all over the place, and we didn't have this formed. But what we found, since we've defined it a little bit, but it's still pretty broad with 45 different options, is that we can really train our staff and train each other to then progress. And that falls into that 8 Shields curriculum, or 8 Shields lineage. And then a lot of the skills that I mentioned. The peacemaker principles, so we would define those as purpose, power, and peace. And we have stories that emphasize those peacemaker principles. And then as students progress in their skills, we incorporate those principles into kind of their own rites of passage. So there's the great big quests that would kind of be the hero's journey. But for each, we kind of have these little circles that students as young as 4 can start to walk and learn these skills and progress and feel like they're in, a next plateau, so to speak. And actually the peacemaker principles also come from our name comes from the story where we get those peacemaker principles. White pine, which is a symbol of peace here. And then the 5 agreements, just simple things. Respect the circle. So which is every morning we'll do circle for gratitude, and anytime we gather, we do gratitude in circles. So respect the circle. That's where you can hear one another and hear yourself. Respect yourself, respect others, respect life, all living beings, and then be a caretaker. So actively, pay attention to where you are and care for it so that it's improved whenever you leave. These are some pictures that I chose. So here, this picture with the 3 girls, the older girl, she's an intern. So she comes from a local high school and that we work with, and she comes every week for the whole year, and just gets to be a part of the programs. Those 2 younger girls are the 7 and 9-year-old kids, and they just obviously love her and they love flowers. This picture is probably taken not too long ago, since it's you see all the flowers. And that intern, she just finished and moved on. She's going off to college. So then we have this top picture with the 2 boys doing arm wrestling. So that's in one of our classes that focuses on natural movement, natural strength, martial arts. He, with the Stay Free shirt, the older boy, he's one of our teen leaders. So he goes through a whole training, and then he gets some added responsibility, and he gets to be a mentor to the younger kids. And it looks like they're having a great time. And then this long picture, horizontally long picture on the bottom. This is one of our staff trainings. So through that Shikari wilderness system that I mentioned before, they get kind of like, so in martial arts you get your belts. So we have brain tanned bands that you get different colored ties on as you move throughout the system and progress in your skills, and that has to be made and given to you by your mentor. So this is all of us learning how to do it, practicing it, and making it so that we can give those to our students, and students of all ages, including ourselves. And our staff, we get together every Monday to do these types of skills, and that's open to our teen leaders too. We have all kinds of lingo. Our teen leaders we call fire keepers, and actually in this image, one of our fire keepers is there. So these are our challenges. I think one of the challenges that we are just a unique space in the Midwest of the United States, and especially in the area where we are, where people come to us looking for something, and sometimes a lot of people find home and find rejuvenation and purpose in the community and in the organization that is within the community. But sometimes we just, I think we get people who have some mental health problems that we really want to help and support, but we just don't have the capacity to do that yet, or we don't have the systems built in to I don't know, bring the healers and the therapists out from our community. So sometimes that means that people who are really love and are getting a lot out of it end up leaving because we just can't help them with that. And so that's been really challenging. Access to land. I mean, we're a primitive skills forest forest school, an organization that really is earth-based, and we do so much just in a small little space and some partnerships. But we just transferred, we're a nonprofit now. So we can start getting donations and fundraising, and working on some new ways of forming partnerships. So hopefully we'll have big access to land sooner rather than later to really run all of the programs and build the community in really powerful ways. And so that's a success, and that's how we're coping with it. We're also, one of the challenges is just we're kind of in a novel approach. We're countercultural to the mainstream culture, and we also know we can't do everything the way that traditional cultures or our ancestors would have done things, because we live in this postmodern world. So we're finding out the ways to balance that and to work with that. And a lot of that is really just organic and informal. We got to have patience and trust with one another, and lots and lots and lots of conversation from all angles and all types of people, from the youngest to the oldest, which is really great and really nourishing for us. And so it's fitting that that's a way that we cope with just the uniqueness of what we do. I think this is the key to success. So this is perfect. This is a little story. This is one of our instructors, and she'll be moving on to find she's got to go find a higher paying job, which is another thing. We got to figure out the financial stuff. But she came and joined us about 2 or 3 years ago, right before the pandemic. And having been here most every day for the last year, she now feels really confident to finish something that she started 10 years ago. And so I think that key to success is just that we're a community that focuses on the earth and lets the earth speak to us, and we learn with it and we grow with it. And so it doesn't matter what age you are, where you're coming from, you leave with some enrichment, knowing that even if you leave the community where we are, of how we function, you can be reminded of it and of that special aspect of it anytime you connect with an herb, a tree. I think I wrote, maybe it's on the next page. Yeah. Oh, so this is the key to success. So like anytime you see like a roadkill animal, a knife, flint, natural fibers, anything that we do in the 45 pathways or more that we get to learn about, you can just be in touch with the community and the school of White Pine Wilderness Academy. And I think another thing that is just huge for us is the circle. That's our structure. And every morning we start with gratitude, and every day we end with some reflection. And so your voice is heard, so you not only get to acknowledge something that you love or something that's making your day brighter, you also know that you're valued. And that's huge. That's huge. I think that is it. So thank you everybody for listening. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Yes, let's open for questions. I think there were a question.
I saw there were 2.
Yeah.
Do you have formalized lessons, or is most of the learning emergent? We have formalized lessons. So kind of one of the rules that we take is like have 100% planned, but only plan on doing 50%. So then the other 50% is emergent. It's from the land, it's from the adventures, it's from the sharing of skills from I think it was the the first presenter. What was your name?
Lauren.
Lorian. Yeah. I think it was her who was mentioning how there's like the different ages can like share and they can find different bonding spaces. And so we want to have space for that. And also, do you have kids that stay with it long enough to then become leaders? So we've been growing, and like I kind of mentioned, where we started with just like, it was bow building, but it was just like, let's just open the whole world up and let's go explore. And slowly we've gotten a lot more structured, and we have quite a bit of structure, but it's flexible. And so within that, we are just old enough where, and been consistent enough to where we have just like hired on. So now we can pay our teens. We're hiring 3 teens to be leaders, to be instructors. And then every year we like fill all the spots for the 13 to 15-year-olds to step in to begin their leadership journey. So yeah, I think so.
Thank you. Any final questions to Ryan? Okay, so thanks for sharing about white pine. I feel it was such a rich session. I want to thank all of our partners